Skip. The reason why the Cleveland Cavaliers lost last night wasn't because of LeBron James. LeBron James scored about 40, got about 10, 11 assists, got about 13, 14 rebounds. LeBron James did his job, Skip. LeBron James did his job, Skip. It was his other teammates. J.R. Smith was nowhere to be found. He was pouting all the way through the game. And y'all talking about giving Rodney Hood more minutes. Rodney Hood? What hood he's from? Rodney Hood was no good. Rodney Hood couldn't even buy a shot. Skip. What about Larry Nance Jr., Jordan Clarkson? Skip. Oh my God. Shannon Sharpe, I have no problem with anybody being a sports fan, a sports fanatic. I don't have any problem with anybody rooting for their favorite athlete. But Shannon Sharpe is the biggest bandwagon fan on the face of the Mother Earth when you're talking about LeBron James. We're going to get into LeBron James, the Cleveland Cavaliers. You know, before we begin, LeBron James said a couple of days ago he had zero concerns about Game 2. He didn't go to college. He didn't experience March Madness. So he had zero concern. I wonder how much that percentage is now with Game 2 loss. And before y'all start typing in the comment section, I still believe and I still think somehow, some way the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to win this series. But at the end of the day, like I said in several of my videos, even if they beat the Boston Celtics, they're not going to beat the Golden State Warriors. If you don't believe me, just look at their problems with the Indiana Pacers. Look at their problems with the Boston Celtics. And look at the problems they had with the Golden State Warriors last year. At the end of the day, they don't have enough manpower, and they don't have anyone that can defend Kevin Durant. LeBron James tried last year and failed miserably. Kevin Durant is an unguardable player. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how athletic you are, how fast you are, how good you are as a shooter, a defender, triple doubles. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. At the end of the day, this is why I always tell people why when they start comparing LeBron James to Michael Jordan. First of all, to me, there's no comparisons. They play two different positions. They're two different types of players. But this is why it's unfair to compare LeBron James to Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, when you need a shot in the final 12 seconds, well, not 12 seconds into the shot clock, Jordan's going to give it to you. And on the final shot, when you talk about at the end of the game, Jordan was so deadly, and you had to double, sometimes triple team him. Not only he can take that last shot, but he can also dish it out to anyone else that can make that last shot. That's how deadly Jordan was. In the final 12 seconds. Well, in the final 12 seconds in a shot clock, Jordan can give you that bucket. That's why Kevin Durant is hard. It's hard to guard Kevin Durant because he can get that shot off with no problems, no fear. LeBron James can't do that. And the second aspect to this argument that I feel like
people always have this argument about LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, not only he was great on the offensive end, he was also great on the defensive end. Now, yes, there were some series and there were some games where Pippen would D up the best defender on the other team. And sometimes LeBron James takes that Michael Jeffrey Jordan will take that mantle. A lot of people seem to forget he D'd up Gary Payton, John Stockton. Okay, so this narrative of LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan, I think we need to stop having that conversation. Just look at the game. Stop looking at individual stats. It's easy to pad stats. And I'm not saying LeBron James is, just padding stats to be padding stats. But what I am saying is it's easier to create those stats, those numbers, with your time with the Miami Heat and the early part, your first stint with the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron James is a great, phenomenal athlete, okay? But at the end of the day, this comparison is between he's better than Michael Jordan because of the stats. That's not 100% true. Sometimes numbers do lie, okay? Particularly when you're comparing raw data numbers from one position player to another position player, and the positions are not the same. Okay, but let's get into today's video. I don't want to make this video long. If you watched the game last night, a lot of people think that the reason why the Cleveland Cavaliers lost was because there was no supporting cast for his other teammates. Okay, I think everybody needs to stop using that excuse. Okay, people seem to forget LeBron James handpicked his other roster by playing 2K. He thought that Dwayne Wade, Derrick Rose, not so much so IT. I think IT was thrown onto him. But out of all those players that they traded, I felt like if they gave IT a couple of more games, I think IT could help LeBron James in a couple of these series. I'm not saying he would be a difference maker. I'm not saying that he would be clearly the number 2 star on the Cleveland Cavaliers. IT felt that way. And it's okay to feel that way, but he's not the number 2 guy on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And that's why him and Kevin Love had issues, because he could even see the writing on the wall that Kevin Love is a better player than IT, because IT was injured this year. Okay, he wasn't even 75% healthy. Okay, but with that being said, the reason why the Boston Celtics won last night, and if you want to take anything out of that game, is when Jason Tatum accidentally hit LeBron James in the head, and it was like the closing minutes of the second quarter. LeBron James got medical attention. They called a timeout, and he walked into the tunnel for some medical attention. They're not going to say it, but I think he was concussed. Okay, and when he came back, he was a different player. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't fearful. He wasn't necessarily attacking the basket like he was in the first quarter. Okay, a lot of people. He was also tired, but I also thought that he had that little incident with him and Jason Tatum. Which, by the way, Jason Tatum wasn't really trying. He wasn't intentionally hitting LeBron James in the head. It was just a freak accident. Okay, but from that point on, LeBron James stopped being aggressive. A lot of people want to point out that, well, he used all his energy in the first quarter. And the one thing, I can sort of agree with that, but I don't think that's the real reason why they lost that game. A lot of people don't realize that LeBron James is built like a freaking brick wall, man. He could play as tight end in the NFL, okay? And one thing about guys like that in the NBA, people seem to forget his mass. It takes twice as much energy to get those muscles going. Okay, that's why when you look at the typical NBA player, they're not like LeBron James. They're more so like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. That's why LeBron James is unique for the NBA. Kevin Durant doesn't look like LeBron James. LeBron James has a body like a boxer, like a heavyweight boxer, like an NFL football player. Okay, and when you got that much mass, it just takes a little bit. It takes more energy to keep that engine running. That's why when you hear a lot of stories, and particularly when LeBron James was with the Miami Heat and they played the San Antonio Spurs, he was cramping up. Well, and it was hot in the arena. A lot of people want to think that, well, the San Antonio Spurs, the organization did that on purpose, on cutting off the AC and making the arena hot. I don't buy that, but that's why guys like LeBron James, they cramp up a lot. They start experiencing cramps. They start stiffing up when you're talking about their muscle and their muscle mass. Okay, I think the real reason why from when he got involved into the incident with Jason Tatum, he stopped being aggressive. He started being a player that's just passing and assisting, setting people up, trying to get the other guys, trying to get them active as well. I felt like that's something you should have done in the first quarter instead of the third and fourth quarter. Okay, now it's pretty much late in the game, and now you want to try to get these other guys, trying to set these other guys up for their moments and their opportunities when you should have been doing that in the beginning quarter. Okay, it's kind of hard to do it late in the game, particularly when the Celtics were leading, and that means that's more pressure on the other players. They're ice cold because you didn't incorporate them in the first quarter. It would have been a different story if LeBron James, got them going earlier in the quarter. Then the Jason Tatum incident happens, and when he went into the tunnel for some medical attention, the other players are already, they're already warmed up. I think it would have been a different. I don't know if they would have won the game necessarily, but I felt like, they wouldn't be dependent on LeBron James. That's my next thing is J.R. Smith. Why J.R. Smith was pouty throughout the game. There was a couple of opportunities where he felt like he had a clear shot, and LeBron James just totally annoyed him and just went on and did his thing. Okay, and that ticked off J.R. Smith so much so he mentally checked out of the game. Okay, that's no. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm not making an excuse for J.R. Smith, but LeBron James always commend himself as more as a facilitator than a scorer. But mentally, he was thinking like a scorer in the first quarter, and I think that kind of threw the other members. The other teammates off. Now, LeBron James, he did this with the Pacers. when the other guys were, not, doing their thing, he started being more aggressive, being more of a scorer than a facilitator. And he also did it in the Toronto series, because he was just having his way, because they didn't have in the Toronto series, the Raptors didn't necessarily have anyone to defend LeBron James. And LeBron James was just having his way. He was just toying with the Toronto Raptors. And when they started this series, LeBron James was thinking, well, I'm gonna be more aggressive. I'm gonna be more of a scorer. Okay. I still believe that the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to somehow, some way win this series. And I think this series is going to be 6 games. It wouldn't be out of the realm of, it wouldn't be out of the realm to think that this can go all the way to 7 games. If this game goes all the way to 7 games, it really doesn't matter who wins, the Boston Celtics or the Cleveland Cavaliers, because they're going to have to jump on a flight and play the Golden State Warriors. And I give them 0 chance of beating the Golden State Warriors if this game goes to 7 games. This will be clearly a sweep for the Golden State Warriors. This wouldn't even be competition for the Golden State Warriors. The Boston Celtics, they don't have anyone that can defend Kevin Durant, when Kevin Durant can pretty much get his own shot whenever. However, I think they got athletic players like Tatum that could stay in front of him, maybe bother him. But Kevin Durant is not a slasher. He's more so of a guy who gets his shots from the perimeter and from the 3-point line. And Steph Curry, they really don't have anybody for Steph Curry. Now, Steph Curry just came from an injury. I think the Celtics have players that can make Steph Curry's night kind of hard and difficult. And they also got players for Klay Thompson. But Draymond Green, if he gets going, I don't see any other than and I can't think of his name right now. Morris. Maybe Morris will. It'll be very interesting between Morris and Draymond Green. That's going to be the war of technicals, because one of them two are going to get a technical on just about every other game in the series. Okay. But if you look at it if Cleveland advances, they don't have anybody that can stay in front of Kevin Durant, even slow him down enough, okay? And LeBron James can't do it, okay? Steph Curry, like I said, the injury, I think they have players that can keep up with Steph Curry, still make his night kind of hard, because Steph Curry is coming off an injury. They don't have anybody for Klay Thompson. And Draymond Green is just going to have his way with the Cleveland Cavaliers players, because the majority of them are inexperienced for the finals. Okay? So he's going to be toying with these guys, but I still believe the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to win, because they already set up game 3. Because if you listen to the press conference of Tyronn Lue said, well, he felt like the Boston Celtics were gooning it, were being like goons last night. So they already done set it up that the Boston Celtics are playing too tight, too tough, okay? Playing more physical. So that means game 3, it's going to be a lot of whistles blown. And that's probably going to be advantage Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay? If the Cleveland Cavaliers lose game 3, it's a wrap. Okay? It's a wrap. LeBron's going to check out. LeBron is already If they lose game 3, LeBron James will check out for game 4, and he's probably looking into the next chapter of his life, what team he's going to go to. I still think he's going back to the Cleveland Cavaliers, because at the end of the day, the Cleveland Cavaliers can pay him the most. Even though LeBron James is almost a billionaire, he really don't need the money necessarily, but he has more influence with the Cleveland Cavaliers as far as dictation, as far as who he wants to play with or who he wants to play for. And if that happens, if he goes back to Cleveland, they're looking for another coach, okay? And they're going to be looking for some more players, a lot, like Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance Jr., Hood. I don't see them playing next year. They're going to try to trade those players away to get better assets or some draft picks. But the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, even though he'll have more, even though he has more say-so and have more flexibility with the Cleveland Cavaliers organization, I'm talking about LeBron James, he doesn't get total control like he did in previous years. I think the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers is looking for beyond the future of LeBron James. LeBron James is probably going to play like 2 or 3 more years, and he's going to call it a wrap himself. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're going to give him the roster he wants, well, what he somewhat wants, but they're also going to draft for the future. That's why they kept the Brooklyn pick. That's why a lot of people kept saying, why they're not going to give up this Brooklyn pick for a player that can probably help LeBron James now, because the owner sees the writing on the wall. They're not going to continue. They'll be in the finals. They're going to make the Cleveland Cavaliers organization a lot of money. Dan Gilbert's going to make a lot of money. LeBron James going to make a lot of money. And there's a possibility down the road where Dan Gilbert will sell the franchise to LeBron James. He has no problem with that. He has more ties with the Detroit community than the Cleveland Cavaliers community. Okay? But that's 3 years down the road. And I think he'll hold the franchise up long enough so when LeBron James retires, he'll give it to LeBron James. Okay? But at the end of the day, they're not going to beat the Golden State Warriors. I don't see any type of scenario where they're going to beat the Golden State Warriors this year. It may be a possibility next year if they can get some more talented players, but they really don't have anything valuable that other teams would want. Okay, now a lot of people are I forgot his name. I had it in my mind, then it escapes me. But anyway, I'll get into that a little bit later, maybe in another video. But a lot of people seem to think that LeBron James is going to go to the Rockets, go to the Spurs, go to the Philadelphia 76ers, the Golden State Warriors. I mean, those are great places, but out of those 4 places, he's not going to have total say-so. LeBron James is more concerned about influence and control, some type of control, than just being another player. If the Golden State Warriors are not going to sign LeBron James because they don't need LeBron James. They beaten LeBron James. Why they need LeBron James? And plus, they got to take care of their own players like Draymond Green, Klay Thompson. Okay, they're more concerned about keeping the players that keep in their core than trying to sign LeBron James, and then they're gonna have to get rid of so many role players. Okay. And they don't need LeBron James. Let's just be fair. Let's be honest. If you talk about the Spurs, there's a possibility there. But if LeBron James goes there, then LeBron James is going to have to swallow his pride and his ego. And he's just going to be another player for the San Antonio Spurs. And I don't think LeBron James is going to go I don't think LeBron James is fully committed that way. Okay. If you talk about the Philadelphia 76ers, okay, he'll be in the East. He'll still be dominating. All right. But in order for this to happen, and to fit LeBron James, they're going to have to get rid of some players. Okay. So even though he'll be with the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, those are good players, but those are developing players. And having LeBron James, and they desperately need a leader like LeBron James. And that's a possibility. I could probably see LeBron James going there. Okay. But ultimately, the best choice and the best opportunity where he don't have to move his family necessarily is to stay with Cleveland. Okay. He'll be clearly the marquee player, still making max money, and he'll have influence and control with the Cleveland Cavaliers organization. I don't see any type of scenario where he'll have that in those other places. Boogie Cousins. A lot of people think that when Boogie Cousins unfollowed the New Orleans Pelicans, that's just his way of saying that he's looking to move away from the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, which is a possibility. But a lot of people also think, well, okay, well, if he become a free agent, the Cleveland Cavaliers can sign him. Boogie Cousins is going to want his money. And the Cleveland Cavaliers can't offer him the most money. The Pelicans can max him out. And I see a scenario with Boogie Cousins staying with the New Orleans Pelicans, particularly with him and Anthony Davis. I think they're a tandem, but I don't see them necessarily beating the Golden State Warriors. Okay, they're going to clearly need some more. They're going to need more. Okay, I can see a possibility where Boogie Cousins go to the Boston Celtics as a free agent. But in order for this to for him to make some type of money, they're going to have to either trade Kyrie Irving for Boogie Cousins, or not Tatum, but the other injured player that would maybe they'll. But Brad Stevenson has a connection with him as well. Gordon Hayward. Okay, I don't see that. So I think this free agency is going to be boring. I don't see anybody necessarily going anywhere. I think everybody's going to stay put. And I think when you're talking about this series, when you're talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics, whoever wins, if it's a 4-game series, and let's just say the Boston Celtics, hypothetically speaking, beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then they play the Golden State Warriors, I can see them winning maybe 1 game or 2 against the Golden State Warriors. Okay, they'll be fully rested and motivated for them, but I still think the Golden State Warriors are going to still beat them. I see a possibility where the Cleveland Cavaliers may steal one from the Golden State Warriors if they have to play them as well. If it goes, but in order for the Cleveland Cavaliers to win this series, it's going to have to extend beyond 5 games. But like I said, if they win Game 3, I don't see them winning Game 3. I didn't see them winning. I don't see them losing Game 3. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Well, hell, I didn't think they was going to lose Game 2. But if they lose Game 3, it's a wrap. LeBron is going to be thinking about his future. All right, and LeBron just going to just pack it up and just call it a night. If they get swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers, if they Boston Celtics, then LeBron James is leaving. Okay, that will be incentive enough for him to leave. And if he leaves, he has the mindset of, you know what, I'm just gonna, not necessarily worry about making a lot of money or having a lot of influence and control with a franchise. I just want he will be clearly chasing rings. And it won't be with the Golden State Warriors. I feel like it's going to be if the Spurs can keep Kawhi, I can see him there. If I can see him in the Philadelphia 76ers. Okay. I can see them there. I don't see him necessarily with the Houston Rockets, because if he plays for the Houston Rockets, he's probably never going. He likes controlling the ball, taking it half court, and making plays out of it, and giving him the ball. That's really Chris Paul is sacrificed. It sacrificed his game because he desperately needs the ball. And James Harden, who's kind of letting Chris Paul take over ball control duties, now he will really have to sacrifice if they want LeBron James. I just don't see that dynamic working. Okay, I just don't see it. Okay, but guys, tell me what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe. It's your boy. I'm Kristen Dom 1. Skill.